Hey everyone, I just released a video talking about Bitcoin, the inverted chart, kind of a longer time frame, and kind of zoomed out, bigger picture. I wanted to do another update, just talking about the current correction and kind of the bull run that we have. So this is all from an LA wave perspective, and it's all going to be based on idealized fib measurements and kind of the idealized Elliott wave rules. That said, the correction and these rules aren't law. Price movement can and often does differ from these kind of idealized fibs and these rules, but for the most part they are very good guidelines, and I find that they are high probability. So most of the time, price surprisingly does follow these rules and does hit these fibs, but it's not. It doesn't have to be that case, right? So I just want to put that out there. So please, be careful in the markets. Take this with a grain of salt, but I think it's useful as a potential roadmap or for a structure to think about price action and where Bitcoin could go in the next couple of days. Okay, so starting from the beginning, Bitcoin has been on a bit of a bull run, right? Bounce or bull run. We don't know yet, but it's been a nice break from down, right? So if we take a fib extension, what we have is we have 5 waves up, right? And people are going to label these waves a little bit differently, but for the most part, we all agree that there's been 5 waves up, right? Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm, measuring out my fib extensions to see basically which waves, which price structures make sense for which waves, right? So typically a wave 3 is going to make a 1.618 extension from wave 1, right? So if we label this, let me label this really quickly. As 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't think this is not gonna be the wave that I'm gonna go, or the labeling that I'm gonna go with, but I just wanted to kind of show you what I'm talking about. And my computer's a little slow. Sorry about that. Okay. All right, so assuming this is wave 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, then we take our measurements of wave 1 from 2, and we look for where 1.618 hits, right? So this is decent, but the count doesn't make a lot of sense. So actually the count that I like the most is this, right? And this, you're going to see this is actually not a 1.618 extension from here, but in terms of subdivision, it's what makes the most sense to me visually. And kind of now that the 5 waves have played out, it's not all that important exactly where waves 1 and 2 are. You'll see that it doesn't actually change very much as we go on and do more of this analysis. Okay, so here we've made actually kind of an extended third wave, which is very common. One of the waves is going to be extended. So by extended, I mean in one of the waves, either 1, 3, or 5, you're going to see more subdivision. So extended subdivision of waves inside. Elliott waves are all built, the theory is all built on fractals, right? So every wave, wave 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, inside of that, at a lower time frame, you're going to have more Elliott wave structures. And an extension is basically one wave, either wave 1, 3, or 5, one of the motive waves that has very visible subdivision, without being zoomed in, right? So if we look at wave 3, we can identify very easily 5 waves inside of that. So this could be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, Let's make this a different degree. Right, so the subdivision here is wave 1, and you can see it's kind of like a leading diagonal. This is probably like, sorry, not a leading diagonal, but it's, there's kind of a diagonal in the fifth. So it'd be like, on a lower time frame, there would be 1, 2. This long move up would be 3, 4, and then this ending diagonal here, where the wave structure overlaps, would be like a fifth, right? So we have 1, 2, and then in the third wave, we have subdivision again. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then into the fourth we have A, B, C, and into this fifth wave of the third wave we have 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 is a bit of a triangle, you can see, and then 5, right? And then 4 would be an A, B, C, and then actually this could be A, B, C, right? And then 5 would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is how I see it. So let me go ahead and move this over. So this is the count that makes the most sense to me. Other Elliott wave, traders are going to have different counts. Again, at this point, it doesn't really matter. Looking at the technical indicators like RSI, it's pretty clear in my eyes that we've reached a temporary top, just because we have bearish divergence on the daily chart, which is a pretty strong reversal indicator. So I'm going to show you that really quickly, and then we're going to talk about this correction. Okay, so on the daily chart, if I bring this up, and I talked about this on another video, so I apologize if you already kind of heard me go through my explanation of it. But this is the reason why this is likely the temporary top, right? So here price made a new high from 3 to 5. However, RSI did not, right? So this is the wave 3 top, this is the wave 5 top, right? And that made bearish divergence, and that's a pretty strong reversal indicator. Also, you don't have to just look at RSI, and I find it helpful to look at other indicators too. If you look at the MACD, as we're going up, we had strong momentum increasing as we went through wave 3, and then as we kind of topped wave 3 and moved into wave 5, momentum fell off, right? So that's all pretty good indicators that the trend is losing momentum. There's probably going to be a shift soon. All right, so let's talk about kind of what we should expect now, right? So we have 5 waves up, and sorry, let me talk about the fibs really quick. So wave 3 is quite extended. It's it's kind of in between these fibs here. It's not perfect, but it's not bad too. Let me bring this into into the 4 hour. Okay, so we almost tapped this 3.236. So we had an extension in the third. Why, in terms of Elliott waves, this makes sense for a fifth also, is that wave 5 is very typically an extension, a 1.0 extension of wave 1. So if I draw my wave 1 fib, right, from 4, we hit basically like a perfect 1.0 extension, right, from wave 1. So that's why, based on these fibs, I would call this wave 1, why I'd call this wave 5, and wave 3 basically made a pretty bullish extension, right? I think even in here I can show you, I think I measured this earlier, I can show you the 1.618, right? Oops. No, looks like we were a little bit extended here too. Okay, never mind. Well, most of the time we're going to make a 1.618 extension for wave 3. Okay, so let's talk about the structure here. So to do that, let me get into a smaller time frame. All right, so the most idealized correction for Elliott wave theory after 5 waves is in ABC, right? So that looks like this. This is called a zigzag. So A, B, C. And like all the other Elliott wave structures, there are rules for Fibonacci retracements and extensions. So the most common target after you have wave A, and wave A is 5 waves down, is for wave B is going to be between the 50% retracement and 6.8 retracement. And then after we have that, the most common extension for wave C is going to be, let me bring out my fib extension tool, is going to be 1.0, right? So 1.0 is the most high probability extension for a wave C given an ABC zigzag. Bitcoin also likes to make 0.618 extensions, which is kind of a truncated wave C. That happens quite a bit. And I've seen, wave C's come all the way down to 1.618. And that's, it happens, but it's definitely less likely. The high probability zones actually, I would say, are 1.0, 1.236, and 0.618. In fact, I would say, Bitcoin makes a lot of 0.618 extensions. I would say that this is actually, this and the 1.0 are the highest probability zones. They're not, I don't see a lot of 1.236 extensions, right? One thing to note is if you're trying to measure something that looks like an ABC, this is 5 waves down, 3 waves up, and you're seeing 5 waves down. If you get past the 1.618 or you hit the 1.618, it's probable that that's not an ABC then. It's more likely that what you're seeing is an incomplete 5-wave structure, right? So that would look like this, right? And then 5. And that's just because, once you get to a 1.618 extension, it's the move is so far down, it's more likely that it's going to complete as an impulse than it is a ABC. And I guess while we're on the topic really quick, sorry, this is going to make the video longer. I want to show you the most probable extensions for a 5-wave motive wave as well, just because it's so useful, and I see it all the time. So, like I was saying before, wave 1. Sorry, I actually have to start with the retracement for wave 2. Okay. So wave 2, on a wave from a wave 1, most commonly retraces to the 618. It should be greater than 0.5 and less than 0.854. This is very extreme, a very deep retracement. Bitcoin does make that on occasion, but high probability is going to be 0.5 to 0.618. This is kind of where you're most likely to see a wave 2 go. It can go shallower. If it goes shallower in wave 2, then wave 4 is going to be deeper. That's an Elliott wave rule of alternation in terms of retracements. So if you see wave 2 only retrace 382, then you can bet wave 4 is going to retrace at least 50% and probably 618. But for the purposes of this video, I'm going to talk about idealized Elliott wave movement. So in idealized Elliott wave structures, wave 2 goes to 618. Okay, so from the 618, we're going to draw our wave 1 to 2 extension, and wave 3 is going to hit the 1618. That's the most common target for it. And from there, we are going to do our retracement from wave 2 to wave 3. And the shallow retracement on wave 4 most commonly hits either the 236 or the 382. It can hit the 0.5, but it should not extend more than that. And it can also be as shallow as the 0.146, but that's very rare, right? So what you want to see, though, is you want to see wave 2, and if that's deep, then you're expecting wave 4 to be shallow. If wave 2 is shallow, then you're expecting wave 4 to be deep, okay? Oops, my computer is not behaving. Okay. So now we're looking for wave 5, and wave 5 can be measured a couple of different ways, but the most common way for wave 5 to be measured is 1.0 extension of wave 1 from wave 4. So that would be something like this. Okay, and wave 5 can get a little bit extended. We could go to 1.236, 1.618, but more than likely it's going to be the 1.0 extension of wave 1. Another extension that is possible, there are different rule sets. Actually, a great website to go to is called ElliottWaveForecast.com. You can Google it, and they list all the extensions. So I highly recommend it, and I actually reference their material all the time as well. Okay, so if Bitcoin doesn't make a, if Bitcoin doesn't make a 1.0 wave 1 extension for wave 5, then the next possible extension that it can make is it can actually make a wave 1 to 3. So you're taking the full length of 1 to 3 and you're projecting it from 4, and you're looking for a 0.618 extension. So in this case, it gets us a little bit further. Bitcoin does like to make this extension as well, but it is less common than a 1.0 extension. Okay, so thank you for sitting through that explanation. Let us go and talk about Bitcoin then. Okay, so looking at this chart, I do see 5 waves down. I'm going to change this time frame so we can get kind of better subdivision here. Okay. Oops, and because the time frame is not very accurate, that's actually our 5th. Okay. So from our top of 5, we had our bearish divergence, and I'm basically seeing 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so we have 5 waves down. Let me get these kind of right on. I find I spend a lot of time trying to get these to snap correctly. Okay, so what we're seeing here in the subdivision for wave 1 is a little bit of like a leading first wave diagonal that goes into wave 3, 4, and 5. Then we have A, B, C, and then into the third wave we have 1, 2, and then we have an extension in the third. So this would be like 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry, this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we do an ABC, and then this is the 5th wave of wave 3. This would be 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the 1, 2 is kind of up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you have 5 waves here. This is a very clear ABC. And then into the 5th wave, we also have kind of a funny looking wave, but I would call this, you know, again, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. So this is the end of your 3rd wave, up for a 4th, and then into your 5th wave here. And now what we're looking for is we're looking for a retracement of this move. So let's make this a smaller degree. So after 5 waves, you're looking for an ABC. That's the most idealized correction pattern that you're going to get after 5 waves up, and it is a building block for Elliott wave because it is, out of all the corrections that you can get, the most motive of those corrections. So it actually, the zigzag actually, you know, moves us down and helps us retrace, whereas the other corrections are more horizontal. Okay, so we have 5 waves here, and this is going to form our ABC, our wave A and our ABC. So let me draw that for you. So wave A is 5 waves. We're looking for a retracement for B and then an extension for C. Okay. So assuming this is our A wave, then wave B most commonly retraces between the 0.5 and 0.618. Assuming that we're going to make an idealized zigzag, right? So you can see that actually lines up really well on this chart. And again, when I do Elliott wave theory and I do these projections, I don't take time into account, right? You just have to kind of watch the wave structure play out. and then based on that, kind of see um, how long it's going to take you. But really, from Elliott wave, you don't get a time component. What you get, for the most part, is you get kind of extensions, retracements, wave structure, and it's great. You can set your stop losses, your targets for profit, things like that. So wave A, now we're looking for B, and then from B, we're looking for wave C. And the most common target for wave C is a 1.0 extension of wave A, sorry, from wave B. Having trouble speaking. Okay, and you can see that lines up pretty well. So if we look at B right now, it looks so for wave B, we're trying to put in a 3 wave. That's most likely how we get to B. And what I'm seeing right now is we are seeing kind of the start of that. So this is very possible for this to be AB kind of with an extended C. Let me get this. Like I was saying, I spent a lot of time trying to get TradingView to snap correctly. Okay. Oops. Actually, don't know why TradingView is so laggy on this machine. It seems when I have multiple monitors, things kind of tend to slow down a little bit, which is just strange because this is a pretty powerful computer actually. Okay, so let me actually adjust this. So this is still playing out. What we're looking for is we're looking for 3 waves. We don't know exactly what that's going to look like just yet, but this kind of makes sense. We have 3 waves up. This is A, B, C. We have 3 waves for B down, A, B, C, and now we're looking for 5 waves up. This is going to end the ABC extension, end the ABC correction, and get us to our target. So depending on where this takes us, it could take us to the 0.5 or 0.618. But after that, it's very likely we are headed down for wave C. So, it's possible that we counted this incorrectly. If we counted this incorrectly and all of a sudden we see 5 waves going up, then we know that the correction has been completed here. Our wave count must be wrong, and we're starting our next leg up in Bitcoin. But, from everything we've seen from the 5 waves up, this all looks very good and very likely for kind of how it's playing out. Okay. So let me zoom out a little bit and take a look at where wave C takes us. So if you use these extensions, these fib extensions, and you look at the Elliott wave structure, and then you go ahead and you combine that with support and resistance lines, looking at where the price structure lines up, you can make a very, very accurate, to the dollar, or maybe to the within $10 to $50 of where price is actually going to end up. So if we look at this 618, there is some price structure to support that, right? So this is resistance for wave 4. Very likely we could go and tap that, right, at the same level. 0.5, there is definitely resistance here. Support here, resistance here. This is actually a very strong level. So 0.5 looks like a great target as well. And if it hits 0.5, then wave C is going to come down a little bit, right? And for wave C, let's see if we have any good targets here. Yeah, so this here looks like pretty good support, right? Pretty good resistance. So this is resistance all here. This is all support, and kind of in between on this wave 4, we also have some support, right? So right here also. So this whole area between what is this, 9,086.80 looks like it could potentially be a bouncing point. What you can do is once this wave structure comes down for wave C, you can make that extension from wave 1 to 2, and you can project out where C is going to end. And that is going to get you very, very close to where wave C actually ends. But from the information that we have right now, we don't know where wave B is going. We don't have the first wave 1 and 2 of wave C. It's hard to make a very accurate prediction, but still we have a ballpark of where things are headed. All right, so let me zoom out a little bit. I want to propose actually an alternative to this as well, just because I think it's important to look at the bigger picture here, right? So we made a very nice move off the lows here, and this would basically be a wave 1, right? So this is a wave 1, assuming that we've found the bottom of Bitcoin, which I think we have. I won't get into that in this video, but I think that we have kind of hit a bottom. So this would be wave 1, and now this ABC would be a wave 2, and we're looking for a wave 3, 4, and 5, and hopefully that's going to get us to new all-time highs, right? Maybe not on this run, but maybe that 5-wave move up would be wave 1 in a larger structure that would eventually get us to great targets, right? So assuming this is wave 1, right? My problem with calling this ABC and calling this correction complete here is that you can see this retracement doesn't get us very far. It only gets us to the 382, and this is what I would say as well. So I would take this, I would measure out this wave 5 retracement, and I would modify my wave C just because these fibs are super accurate to actually hit something like the 382, right? And what we're doing is we're looking for confluence. So we have good support turn resistance now, and we have the 382, and we have this ABC structure coming down. It's very likely that this is going to be the level that this wave C stops at. Right, and if that's the case, then probably this wave B is going to come down a little bit, probably to the 50 instead of the 618. But even with all of this in place, there is one slight issue, which is that for a wave 2 retracement, assuming this is wave 1, 382 is not a high probability bounce point for a wave 2. Like I said before, it can happen, but more likely a bounce for wave 2 is going to happen on the 618. That's super high probability, or the 50, which is still a good probability for a wave 2. 382, it's possible, but again, Elliott wave says that wave 2 should be a deep retracement, so we should expect all the way down to the 618. And if we're looking at the 618, we are seeing very good confluence with price action as well, right? So come up here, come back down, tap the same level, that becomes support, and we shoot off from there. On the way down here, it became resistance, bounced off of it, broke through, right? Here again, resistance, hit it, bounced off of it, finally broke through. So the 618 also looks like a very good level. The 50 looks decent as well. So again, we're gonna have to see what this wave structure looks like coming down. But assuming that these are the targets that we're gunning for, we have a problem, and that problem is that this ABC is going to be too short. It's not going to get us all the way to the 618 or the 50. So how can we manage to actually get down here? Well, again, we're talking about the fractal nature of Elliott wave, right? So that 5-wave down in this ABC don't have to be wave A. Wave A could be much bigger, and the way that wave A could be much bigger is if in fact this was just a wave 1, 2 in a larger 5-wave. Okay. Oops, what is going on here? Okay. Sorry, I have to apologize. My computer really doesn't like recording and looking at TradingView, and it's strange because this laptop is quite a bit more powerful than my desktop, but my desktop runs it perfectly. Okay. So assuming that this is our 1-2, let us do our extensions now and see if we can get a projection that makes a little bit more sense. Okay, so I'm going to pull from my 1, and I'm going to set my idealized wave 3, which bounces on the 50. You can see that. And then we're going to do a retracement. From wave 3 to get wave 4, and it should hit the 382. And now we are looking for our wave 5. And we do that by looking for a 1.0 extension from wave 5. Let me lock this in place. Okay, so assuming this is our A wave now, we are going to make a larger ABC correction. All right, whenever my computer is ready. Okay, let's do a retracement for wave B. Go for the 50%. Let's do that. And let us do a 1.0 extension for wave C. All right. And that lines up pretty well with this other fib down here. So let us back out of this and change this wave degree. Actually, let us change this wave degree. Okay. So this has us testing much lower lows, anywhere from the 764 to the 854. So this is definitely the bear alternative, but it's possible, right? So again, kind of seeing where wave B goes, looking at the structure, the big tell on this is going to be wave 3. If we get 5 waves and it ends at the 382, and we have something like bullish divergence, and the oscillators look good, then it's likely that we're going to bounce from there. If not, if price keeps coming down, then we have a roadmap for where price might end up, right? And if we look at an even larger picture, I just remember this because I've looked at kind of this triangle on Bitcoin for a while. Pulling from here to the top of wave 5. Pulling from here to here, we can see that that lines up damn near perfect, right? So, it's definitely possible that we come down here. So, if it does, we have a roadmap, and we can see, not be too surprised if it does come all the way down here. Right now, I'm still looking for the ABC to play out on the 382. But if we see price going lower, then this is potentially where we're headed, right? So, and again, this is all idealized. This is idealized Elliott wave retracements and measurements, and Bitcoin doesn't like to play by those rules all the time, especially on larger time frames. it's going to kind of do what Bitcoin wants to do. And so, we might not get an ABC at all. If we don't get an ABC, we could get a flat correction, we could get a double three or a triple three, or we could get a triangle in wave B instead of three wave three wave motive structure, right? So there's all kinds of things that can happen. But I think the bigger picture thing is that we did 5 waves up. We're looking for a retracement. Wave 2 likely hits 0.5, 0.618. And if not, it could hit 382. How it gets there, we can see, and we can use that to kind of preemptively figure out where the bottom's going to be. But we know that we have 5 waves, so we're looking for a retracement. After that, so after we do wave 1, come down for a correction, then hopefully looking for wave 3, 4, and 5, right? So the future is looking good for Bitcoin, assuming we can correct and still keep this low intact, and then move off from there impulsively. All right, thanks for watching. Sorry it's a little bit of a long video, but I wanted to put this out there talking about the current correction. So thank you for tuning in.